We toured with Electric Callboy and Solens from Sweden. All those guys are amazing people. Electric Callboy's crew they're just the best people as well. Tank is an amazing TM. So organized, so on top of things. Like, you don't need to be a dick to make it in the industry.
The song Welcome to Paradise, the drums, it's as if you went into the studio and just like dragged and dropped it into some places and go like, fuck it, I'll try and play that. It's quite a complex rhythm.
The original title of the song was actually Fuck Around and Find Out.
You've got some really strong social media game.
The infamous butt chat TikTok.
That's one of our favorites.
I'm absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to have a chat with Conquer Divide, a band that I discovered, only a few months ago now. It was the collaboration with Electric Callboy that put them on my radar. And I'm really excited to have the chance to talk to Sam, the drummer, especially. As a drummer myself, I have some questions and things I'd love to dig into. So thank you very much for being here and spending the time. Now, I understand you've just finished quite a serious tour of North America with the very hilarious but also genuinely great band that is Electric Callboy. I wonder, now that that has come to pass, what would you say was the lasting memories, and how do you summarize what would be quite a mad experience, I imagine?
Honestly, and I hate to just like pass the torch to someone else, but if you watch the video that TankTheTech did, summing up how the tour went, that summarizes it perfectly. I could not have said it any better than he did. First of all, Tank is an amazing TM. So organized, so on top of things. Like, he's just like, you just have to have a certain kind of personality, not just being organized, but just being like, I'm not going to take shit from anybody. Like, I'm going to make sure that everyone gets what they need, and he just was amazing. And that's just us, being kind of adjacent, to working with him. I mean, I hit the relationship he had with Electric Callboy is amazing. And then just the whole tour was incredible. The bands were awesome. We love everybody in all of the bands. So we toured with Electric Callboy and Solens from Sweden. All those guys are amazing people. They're like our brothers. We just absolutely love them, and everyone got along really well. And it was just like a big supportive family, like genuinely everyone trying to help each other. Always supporting each other. There was so much respect and like understanding and like genuine care between the bands. The crew as well, Electric Callboy's crew they're just the best people as well. Everyone is so good at their jobs and they're nice. Like, you don't need to be a dick to make it in the industry. And everyone always says that, like, oh yeah, you just gotta like be kind of a whatever POS, but it's not true, first of all. And it's just so nice to see like a band assemble a team of like-minded professionals, and everyone is just so awesome. So we had an incredible time, and the fans were great, and everyone was just very accepting of bringing us into the fold.
That's fantastic to hear. I did see Tank's summary of that tour. And it sounded like a total love-in. Like, everyone was very caring and empathetic, and there was also some great like EDM music right before Electric Callboy, which sounded kind of fun. So that's really nice to hear. And I hope that emanates and becomes the standard that everyone can experience. Because the risk is, well, wasn't that a great one-off? It shouldn't be that way, right? So hopefully, yes. Someone, actually, I've got a couple of fan questions that have come in. Someone by the name of Moz said, before that one, The Fallen Cure, how tough was it to tour the USA for 6 weeks in a van? Were all of you in a van? Like Conquer Divide? Surely not.
Conquer Divide was in a van.
With bunks in it? Like, what are we talking about for van?
Okay, so we recently had the van outfitted with a couple of bunks. We have 4 bunks in the back. It feels like you're in a coffin. And Izzy and Janelle are on the bottom, and I just kept calling. I was just like, the crypt keepers, because they're the keepers of the crypt. It's so dark down there. And then we also have our bench seats as well. And then we also had a driver on this tour. So yes, we were doing it in a van. It is not the best, but the amount of money that you save, and it's just so expensive. Like, gas alone is extremely expensive. And so, if we spent it all on like hotel rooms or buying onto like a tour bus or something like that, it just takes away from other things that we're able to afford. And because we're not in a headlining sort of financial situation, it's just better that we rough it for a little bit longer. You know what I mean?
Sure. Makes total sense. Economically, definitely a benefit. But yeah, everything else must have been pretty tough. Especially, like you're saying, there are 4 bunks. There's more than 4 people in your band.
Yes. So one member sleeps on the bench because this member is small and doesn't mind.
that was their bed every night was the bench?
Yes,
Who's
yes.
the smallest one that got the bench?
Well, it's actually, I guess technically Janelle is the smallest, but it's Kia's bench. There was a number of reasons for it, but the bench is typically no one sits there except for her. Sometimes there might be a second person, but so we just really make it clear that this is a bed, this is where the person is sleeping, they're leaving all their stuff, and also it's got like foam and stuff down on it, so it's quite comfortable. So it's not just like, oh, you got to sleep on the top of the seat belts. So we wouldn't do that to Kia.
That's good. Fair enough. Did you have, I mean, I imagine, were you saving money on like hotels rooms as well? Were you essentially driving, would someone drive through the night and then you wake up in the next city? Was it that kind of deal?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing. So this is the first time that we've had a driver with us because we knew we had some really long, really difficult drives and it was going to be potentially dangerous for us to be, you know, we had to get to the venues early. You're basically spending an entire day at the venue. You're setting up, you're doing sound check, you're getting ready, you're doing interviews, whatever. And then you stay to the end of the night working merch. You got to clean everything up. And then you have to drive another 6 to 8 hours. Like it would be really unsafe. So we brought someone along who is the driver. So basically he would sleep during the day when we got to the venue and then he would be awake and driving through the night.
That's a tough gig. That's definitely a tough gig. Were you able to, like, I'm not hearing any room for things like guitar techs or drum tech. Are you able to get some help from Electric Callboy's crew, or are you doing all that yourself somehow? Like, how would you string guitars between songs?
We bring extra guitars because we don't have room for a guitar tech. Even if we could afford a guitar tech, we just don't have space in our vehicle. And we did not like cross-pollinate with crew, you know, with our band or anything. I mean, you know, there's other tours where you can sometimes share like a drum tech or a guitar tech or whatever. We decided not to do that. We didn't ask. We didn't feel like we needed it for this particular tour, but it is something that we could do in the future.
Nice. That sounds good. So yeah, you're really hoping the guitars last throughout the set and the backups.
There's a lot of guitars, but we will never have as many. Probably will never have as many guitars as Attack does in their live show. It was like 20 guitars, but they also have a guitar tech. So.
Okay, sure. Someone to manage 20. My God. Nice one. I mean, so as I said, I discovered your band through the collaboration with Electric Callboy on the song Fuckboy. So obviously, from my perspective, it would appear that that song has helped increase the scope of the awareness of your band. But is that how it's felt from the inside from yourselves, or has it felt more like a continuous kind of growth and gradual, or did you feel an upswing of things after that song came out?
Yeah, it definitely felt like an upswing, and I think it had to do with from a combination of like reaction channels and other people in the industry talking about the song. And you know, Electric Callboy was already on their radar, so they're like, oh, we want to check this out. Who's this other band? Is this like some sort of like Avril Lavigne band? Like, what do they actually sound like outside of this one song? And so it was interesting seeing the response to it. But it was a really great response, and we had a lot of people commenting on our other videos saying, found you from Electric Callboy. Oh my God, I love it. But the biggest response we had from a lot of people was, I didn't know what to expect from Conquer Divide because we heard Fuckboy and we thought, well, maybe they're a pop punk band, and that's why it's kind of a pop punk song. So, you know, but then, you know, people listen to us, they listen to Electric Callboy, and they're like, neither band sounds like this. They just wanted to do something fun.
That was exactly my experience. When that happened, I was like, oh, I don't know who this band is, but whatever. I love Electric Callboy. Let's put this on. It's like, oh, this sounds like, you know, old school kind of Blink-182 polished pop punk rock and some Avril in there. I was like, this is great. Let's check out Conquer Divide. And I was like, this doesn't sound pop punk at all. Wait, now there's scream vocals. Like, what is going on? But I was delighted because I also love metalcore and all the rest. So like once Janelle pops in with that genuinely one of my favorite scream vocal tones, I was just like, well, I'm now in. Let's follow this rabbit hole, and I've enjoyed that since. So I'm glad that that's happened.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting is that when they first came to us with the framework for that song, so they kind of just had the what was it? I'd say the intro, like first verse and the first part of the chorus, and they presented to us, and we were not expecting that at all. Like we were expecting something that was more kind of like the electronic core kind of vibe. And so when we heard that, we're like, oh, and they were like, yeah, we want to do kind of a throwback Blink-182 kind of like early 2000s kind of vibe. And we were like, oh my God, this is actually pretty exciting because I know that Kristen co-wrote that song with them, and she really wanted it was kind of a cool, more rare opportunity to write in that style. She was always a fan of like Avril and some of those artists. So we were surprised too.
Yeah, well, they're genius. They're clearly. I'm wondering, how did the collaboration first come about? Did they get in touch with you? Because I had a quick Google. You don't seem to share a label, unless I've just Googled poorly.
We don't. So it's kind of interesting, and I think we recently put up, I think, a TikTok or a reel with like the quick progression of how this relationship sort of happened between the two bands. So I think it was it We Got the Moves? It was We Got the Moves. The video came out, and Kristen saw it, and she's like, "This is amazing." And she's like showing everybody. She's like, "You guys got to see this. This is great. Like, the song is great. This video is hilarious." And then I think that she might have messaged Dan Skimo, and then I think he said something like, "Oh, hey, like, I know your band. Like, I've been, I've liked your band since, the first album or whatever." And so then they started talking, and then it turned into a, "Hey, you guys want to do a song together?" And it's like, "Oh my God, yeah, absolutely." And then it was, "Hey, do you guys want to come out to Germany and do a video for that song in like a couple weeks?" And we're like, "We don't all have passports. We're going to have to figure this out."
Classic North American problem. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's true. Yeah. So we figured that out. We flew out to Germany. We did the song. And then, and they said, let's, we want you to tour with us. And that's how the tour came up. And then, of course, they, unfortunately had to pull out last year because of Nico's health. And here we are. Now we finally did the tour with them. And yeah, everything's great.
That is wild. That's so cool. And I was interested as well when I first heard it, because normally in that kind of collaboration, you expected to see Electric Callboy featuring Kia, but it was featuring Conquer Divide. It was the full band. So I was curious how much of, and it's clear you've hinted at this, but how much of that song was crafted by Conquer Divide and Electric Callboy together, and how much, what do you do in the recording? Like, who's getting the drum performance recording, or is it like, is that just not part of, how does it come together sonically?
Yeah. So technically it features several members from Conquer Divide. It doesn't have all of us. So the drum track is theirs, for example. So I'm not on the track. Kia's vocals, of course, are on the track, and Kristen's songwriting. I can't speak to exactly like what % of the song was who.
Oh yeah, which stems and the rest.
Yeah. But so I'm not sure if we contributed any guitars or anything. I think it was vocals primarily. But Kristen was heavily involved in the songwriting and she sent them a bunch of ideas for a couple of other parts as well where I don't think we were originally going to write that part, and they loved it so much they kept it. So a significant part of the song was written by Kristen and features Kia's vocals. And that was another thing too. It's where it didn't really make sense to just say, you could say featuring Kia, but like no one really knows who Kia is outside of like kind of our fan base. So it made more sense to say Conquer Divide, and because it was written by Conquer Divide's primary songwriter.
Sure, totally makes sense. And since listening to more of your songs, when I listen back to Fuckboy, which I did today, I hear the influence of the guitar work from Conquer Divide in it. I followed that thread back, so that was quite cool. We have someone else joining the call. Hey, Kristen. And you've been fighting a battle with your Google Chrome, and you've even lost some of your face as a result. Yeah. I should pause just for a moment here to mention that Kristen has a bunch of slash marks on her cheek. At the time of recording this interview was Halloween, so I'm pretty sure she just came back from trick-or-treating, and that explains the very obviously makeup slashes on her cheek there. I'm not asking about her safety and general well-being. That is a Halloween makeup effect.
I was able to get it to work on my phone, but my speaker's broken, so I don't know if I sound okay.
Don't worry, I'll figure all that out in post. I can hear you perfectly clearly, so thank you for that. Welcome. We've been chatting thus far. It's very nice that you've been able to join us as well. For those who are listening and watching, Kristen, the guitarist from Conquer Divide, has now joined after fighting with Google Chrome, as I said. Slasher. We've been chatting about the tour that you recently went on and your collaboration with Electric Callboy. And I was actually just chatting about how much of that Fuckboy song was from both sides. I wasn't looking for stem counts or anything, but a reference that I was able to actually hear the guitar work from Conquer Divide later on when I went back and revisited it in there. Did you have in addition to songwriting with them back and forth, did you also lay down kind of guitar tracks and things in there? Is that in?
So not on that song, actually. They had sent us an instrumental with a first verse and a first chorus idea. And they just kind of wanted me to riff on it vocally. And yeah, so I ended up sending them 3 chorus ideas along with what you hear in the second verse and 2 bridge ideas. And I was like, oh, just pick whatever you like. And they got back to me and they're like, we like all of it. We're going to keep all of it. So it was pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a super cool feeling. I don't know. They were like, we would have never thought of this. So yeah, they were stoked on it.
That's great. Well, that's the beauty of collaboration, I suppose. Like, different people have contributed different ideas. Otherwise, that song would never exist if any one person tried to write it.
Yeah,
they
wanted to do a throwback, and I was like, oh, I got this. I've been listening to Avril Lavigne like my whole life since I was a kid. I'm going to nail this song.
It was absolutely nailed. No, I loved it. It's similarly, I'm largely a pop punk kid from my teens. But then I was delighted to discover the actual heaviness that lies within Conquer Divide later on when I then went through the journey of discovering the rest of your stuff. And I can't wait to talk about Slow Burn, the recent album, which I think is fantastic. Before I do, there's another question that came in from someone by the name of Moz, who's asking, who do you want to collaborate with most? Obviously, we've got Electric Callboy. But if there's any artist or band or any genre you think, actually, that's kind of a bucket listy thing, do you have one of those top of mind? Or if you had a moment, could you think of one?
For me, personally, probably Bring Me the Horizon. That would be super bucket list for us. But, I mean, we also want to collaborate with other female artists in the scene. Like, we'd love to do something with Scene Queen or even Mystique. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she does these piano synth renditions of popular metal songs, and she's great. I've known her probably for almost a decade now, but she's finally just taking off. So yeah, we want to collaborate with more female artists as well.
Nice. Sam, anything for you top of mind?
I always say Spirit Box. I feel like it would and there's, our band is connected with their members and things like that, and I think it would just be, I think we have a similar fan base, and I think that we could probably do something pretty cool.
Nice. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Spirit Box. They're phenomenal. So on to chat about the album Slow Burn, which I think is, as I said, fantastic record. I got the impression that album's taken quite a long time to come together, because when the first, Atonement came out way over a year ago. Did it come as a series of individual songs and you go like, actually, let's make an album out of this? Or was it just a very long release process that got the whole thing out?
Yeah, it was just a long release process. And then somewhere in there, we were on hiatus for a couple of years. So, but we did start writing the record in 2016, right after the first one came out. And we just kind of chipped away at it for a long time. So the first song we actually wrote that's on that record was Only Girl. And then I'm trying to think what are some of the older, the OGs of that.
Maybe like Afterthought in like a previous iteration.
Afterthought was another super OG. That song had sat for so long that we actually ended up redoing all the music under it, because by the time Slow Burn was getting ready to come out,
the production was different.
Kind of had like a dated feel to it, so we updated all of it, and yeah.
So ironically, that song was not an afterthought. That was an early incarnation. Fair enough. Cool. One song that really stood out to me as a surprise favorite was the song Pressure. And I wonder if it's because when it started, I was like, okay, fine. I know where we are. This is like a kind of a pop rock ballad song, safe, radio friendly. Here we go. But it sort of amps up as it goes gradually and has a great punchy chorus. But the moment where it locks in is after the second chorus, it goes into a guitar riff that is just, for 3.5 bars, just one chord. Like, it's just one chord and the drums lock into it. It's the simplest thing in the world, but somehow packs so much punch. How did you come to put that in that song and decide, because that song didn't need necessarily a heavy punch to it, but you added that ingredient. What led to that?
Oh gosh, to be honest, I can't remember that exact moment because that song was written so long ago. But I don't know. We do that a lot, where we like to bring you up and then bring you back down in our songs. We kind of take you on an emotional roller coaster, and I feel like that song definitely needed it. I mean, the title is Pressure, so you're kind of building up to something, and so it needed a heavy moment like that in the bridge.
Fair.
And sometimes simple is best. Repetitive, simple parts are. I mean, that's what hooks you. I don't know. At least for
Totally
me.
agree. Totally agree. I mean, one song I think of is "The Middle" by Jimmy Eat World, which is an incredibly simple song, but it's an absolute banger. And I think what really helps is the play between something that's kind of complex and then the release later on, potentially, of doing something simple. And in terms of the drums on that album as well, I think that balance is really well done. There's clearly some busy fills here and there. There's some complex double kick patterns. The song Welcome to Paradise, the drums at the start are quite, I took a few listens to be able to consistently hit where the snare goes. Because it's as if you went into the studio and just like dragged and dropped it into some places and go like, fuck it, I'll try and play that. It's quite a complex rhythm. But then the later on, after the kind of breakdown build up that Janelle does vocally, it's just kick snare, like on the ones and threes. And I think that has so much power because of the wayward start. Like, are you involved on those details in the composition of the drums, Sam, as well?
It's a mix. I mean, a lot of the drum ideas will kind of come in at the beginning from the producers, when the song is starting to take shape, and then anytime there's an opportunity, for me to weigh in, then I will. I remember that when that song was first coming together, and Kristen, I remember you FaceTimed me or sent me a video, you're like, can you play this? Like, can you play to this? And I was like listening, I'm like, okay, let me listen. And I was like, yeah, that's weird, but yeah, I can figure that out because it's in 10, so it's more of an uncommon time signature. But going back to your original point, a lot of people say, especially a lot of drummers, pro drummers who have like seen it all, will say that sometimes it's all in the notes you don't play. And I'm sure other musicians say this as well. And so I think that that's part of what makes that so powerful, is what can make a drum part more powerful, a simple drum part more powerful, is if it is preceded, I would say, by something a bit more syncopated or a little bit more crazy or a little bit more technical or whatever. And then it's why I like breakdowns in music so much, because the breakdown wouldn't be so heavy and like, and that stank face feeling.
Yeah, you didn't have something to contrast it with.
Exactly, because if the whole song is breakdowns, I don't like it, because to me it doesn't have that contrast, and it doesn't give you that like feeling of like, ooh, like heaviness after the technical fast stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would totally agree with that. I think you're going to get a certain percentage of listeners who would want everything to be complex and busy because they appreciate the fine details of the technicalities of musicianship. But the vast majority of folks are looking for the hook, and the drummer is the one that kind of really cues them in. This is where we are, and then you can play with that. But yeah, I think that is vastly important. But then also have enough variation there to keep yourself interested. If you're just doing like 4 to the floor every song, you're going to be snoozing.
Yeah, it's tough as a drummer to come to terms with the fact that you need to play for the music. So, for example, if you hear the drums on this album versus the first album, I mean, the first album's a lot heavier in general. It's more of a true metalcore album. But, if we had drums on this album that were just trying to be metalcore drums in every song, even a song that didn't need that much, technicality, it wouldn't make sense, and the songs wouldn't sound as good, and they wouldn't sound as polished, I think. It would just sound like too much. There'd be like 5 drummers out there who are like, yeah, sick, this album rules, but like everyone else is like, I can't keep up with this album because this song sounds like more of a straightforward tune, but the drums are going crazy. So you gotta play for the music.
And it goes even further than that. Sorry, go on, Kristen.
No, I was just gonna say, drummers overdrum, guitar players overplay, and singers oversing. So it's just finding the balance and being able to dial yourself back a little bit.
Do you find it possible to dial yourself back, or is that where other members kind of come to play, or like a producer in the how do you get the perspective in the moment?
I've gotten a lot better at that because I used to be more of a shreddy guitar player, especially on our first record. I was always wanting to put a noodling lead everywhere, and I kind of learned from our producer you know, especially in a mix, the guitar leads tend to fight sonically with vocals, like the EQ range. They always are doing this. So I kind of learned through the first album to dial it back a little bit and let the vocals be first and foremost, because everything else is just wallpaper at the end of the day.
I've not heard that expression used before. I like it. That's good. But yeah, it makes sense. Like, let the vocalists have their moment. You can have your moment afterwards. And then everyone's paying attention just to your lead, by the way, and not the vocalist anymore. So there's balance. Fair. In terms of the drums and the simplifying and playing for the music, that even goes further, because there's moments on this record where it's digital drums entirely. Is that a case of, are you involved going like, you know what, I think actually a digital sound will work here? Is that kind of a band thing, or is it a field producer moment? And then when it comes to live, are you playing to a click so that comes through, or are you going, fuck it, live, we'll do it acoustic?
Right. And I have a mix of answers for that. When it comes to kind of who's making those decisions, I think it's somewhere between just the band and the producers where it's going to sound good. It's the band has always had some sorts of elements of electronic in the songs. There's more of it on this album for sure. And it's just wherever it makes sense. So maybe it's where, rather than have a quiet moment, you've got a little bit of that electronic drums in there, because then when the real drums come in, it's going to be so much more powerful. In terms of how we do it live right now, there's only a couple of spots where I'm playing the live drums over the electronic track, but in a lot of the songs I just kind of leave it for now, because we have the track playing when we're on stage. I do play to a click live. We all play to click live. But at some point I would love to emulate some of those parts live on like you can get the SPDSX trigger pad. Yeah, exactly. So at some point I would love to invest in one of those and actually play those parts live. That would be pretty cool. Or even add like a secondary layer to them. So maybe we keep the original one in the backing track. Maybe I add, you know, sometimes I'll still play a couple little cymbal flourishes or whatever. Like in New Heaven, I do keep a beat in the part where everyone sings "If I Should Die Before I Wake." That's not on the album, but we do that live. It just sounds a lot bigger and more powerful, because the band realized in rehearsals that that part was sounding a little bit empty live, and so I just do like a simple bass, like 4 to the floor bass snare kind of thing there.
Nice, makes sense. And I imagine that's a big crowd sing-along moment, so you want to give them the beat to follow, because crowds love getting out of time. I mean, quick fun side note, I've got 2 young daughters. My eldest is 4, and I'm trying to subtly, not push metal on her, but like metal is in the vicinity. And I'd be putting on my playlist, and New Heaven comes on, and from the back seat I just hear, "This is my favorite song." Like, yeah, it's a bang.
Love that.
But also, in terms of the mix between the balance of technicality and then simplicity for effectiveness of song, I imagine, especially if a song has a electronic drum intro live, then when the acoustic drums come in, it must be like, oh yes, now the power. Like, that's kind of a great transition moment, I think.
Totally. And that's also why I don't want to try and just play all of that stuff live, because it just, the reason that it's there to begin with is to have those dynamics and that difference, the contrast between the real drums and the quieter, you know, technical tick 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 stuff. It's a terrible description, but you know.
I know exactly what you mean. That's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds. No, that's great. And I wonder, so were you playing Afterthought live on this tour or no? Because that's a hell of a fucking song to try and play.
No, we didn't on the Callboy tour, but we might in the future when we do our own headliner.
Because one of the questions I like to ask drummers is there a particular beat or fill or moment where live you kind of tighten up before you're like, oh shit, I really need to nail this? Because I imagine that song is pretty much all of it. Was there a song during your most recent tour and a moment you're like, this beat, I kind of get a little bit antsy beforehand because it's either complex or you really want to deliver it because you love it?
Oh yeah. At the end of Welcome to Paradise, and Chris and I talked about this, there's just like this really filly part, and I always get a little bit more stressed live, and it's weird because so many drummers tend to rush. I tend to slow down, and I don't know why. It's really weird.
That is wild.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. It's like overcompensating for like my adrenaline.
I better slow down.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Like my adrenaline is making everything feel slow, but so I slow down to compensate. It's really weird. Anyway, it's something I'm working on, but. So yeah, it's that really filly bit near the end, right before the outro of Welcome to Paradise. yeah, definitely, I would absolutely tense up every time before we played that part.
Fair. Very human. It means you
Not
care.
proud of that.
I think that's what, no, it means you care about it. You want the performance to be good. And Kristen, to you, is there a particular guitar riff when you're playing live that feels the best to play? I'm wondering if it is something like that one chord you can just hammer out and pressure if you were doing that one live, or is it something that you enjoy the fluidity of the technical performance of it?
I really enjoy playing New Heaven, actually. It's got a nice beat to it. I know Izzy doesn't feel the same way, but for that one, that one is just fun to play live. It reminds me almost of a nu metal kind of riff, and I just enjoy it.
Fair, nice.
Yeah.
Who are your guitar influences, kind of, that started you getting into guitar back in the day, and who would you say now are the ones you're kind of looking at going, they're on top of their game?
Gosh, probably Kirk Hammett for Metallica, obviously. I play Kirk Hammett Signature Series ESP guitar. I've had it forever. Now, gosh, to be honest, I don't really... I nerd out more over songwriters in general. I'm not super into shreddy guitar players anymore, as much as I used to be. I nerd out over songwriters. So I really like Andrea Stolpe. She has a class at Berklee College of Music that I've taken, and I don't know. Those are the kind of people I nerd out for. Songwriting as a whole. I kind of changed my my whole perspective from the first album to the second album. Like I said, I used to be more of a shreddy guitar player. Now I'm looking at the song as a whole and writing more from a songwriter perspective. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. For my taste in music generally, that's a big win, because I love song first, and then when you add the punch of like a great scream vocal or like a breakdown or just some color or some changes in strong structure you're not expecting, that elevates it. Because if you approach from the other end, you end up often with a collection of riffs and fills, and then someone's doing some vocal thing over the top, but it's kind of cluttered. It doesn't really connect, which is as a better structured song connects first, and then you add the color, I think, with the rest. So you mentioned a kind of composer there, which are they? It doesn't sound like they're a Berklee class. They're not in the metal world, I imagine.
So she writes for a lot of country artists, actually.
Okay.
And so she's had a lot of #1 hits, and yeah, I don't know.
Fair.
I actually look to a lot of country writers when we're writing for Conquer, because they're such good storytellers, and that's not something you see a lot in metal. And so I try to pull elements from that in the storytelling, where you're putting the listener in a room. You give them a time of day, you describe where you're at, and if you can kind of put the listener in your shoes, they might connect with your song a little bit more than if you're just telling them, I'm sad. I'm feeling sad. But if you can paint a picture and say, you slept in my bed, you left me on red, that's very visual, and a lot of people can relate to that. So yeah, that's kind of where my mind is at now.
Sure. I think that's an excellent point. And I remember seeing online an interview with yourself, Sam. You're talking about the lyrics, and I related to this hard, because you were saying, as a drummer, I don't really pay attention to the lyrics. I'm more going like, hang on, I didn't hear them because I was looking at this tasty 16ths on the hi-hat there. But if a song is effectively written lyrically, but also the vocals and the way that they're balanced in it, or written melodically, the lyrics can hit you whether you're paying attention or not. And I find that that's happening in this record quite a bit, as that's just clearly has been your experience with that one. And when it comes to lyrics, then I suppose it sounds, Kristen, that you're involved in the lyrical side of it. It's not kind of purely a Kia thing. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, I write a lot of the vocals, and yeah, I went to Berklee, and I've read every book I can get my hands on to try to improve our vocals, and I just enjoy it. I love the art of it, and I obsess over every little detail. So
nice. Yeah. Hopefully in a good, healthy way, because perfectionism is a tough stone to carry, I'd say. Certainly when a band is as scattered as you folks. I mean, I was chatting earlier with Sam, but for the sake of the viewers and listeners, this band is quite geographically widespread. which...
Yeah, we are geographically challenged.
But it's also, I imagine, logistically quite tricky to write songs and work on things across the ocean. How do you manage the songwriting in one way, but then surely the financials of like rehearsing is quite an overhead, no?
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So we've always written online since the inception of the band. I'll typically lay down like a demo idea and send it to the rest of the band. Or me and Izzy will get together with songwriters and demo something out and then send it to the rest of the girls. And then, we work on it online, send it back and forth. Kia will make tweaks to things and put her spin on it. And, and then we get together. Everybody flies to Michigan typically, and then we record here. So,
nice.
Yeah. And then as far as practice, we practice at home a lot, obviously. And then we get together typically a week and a half to 2 weeks before a tour. And then we just rehearse 8 hours a day, every day until we leave for the tour. Because that's the only way we can do it, being so spread out and people having to take time off work. And it's a lot. So we just cram as much in as we can in the shortest amount of time.
That's tough. And my thought immediately goes to the poor calluses on the hands of the guitarist and also the hands of the drummer. If you're doing several hours a day, probably suddenly kind of out of nowhere. Do you try and slowly build up your intensity of drumming in advance of the rehearsal starting?
I do, and it's not just because like the rehearsal days are long or anything. It's just because I want to make sure I'm doing as much as I can before joining up with everyone, so that, if there's something I want to work through or whatever, that I've already done it on my own time. But yeah, I ramp up my own personal practice schedule in the couple of weeks before meeting up with the group.
Nice, fair. That's good. That sounds healthy. And then in terms of yourself as well, I was asking Kristen about influences. Who were your original drumming influences, and who now are you looking at saying that they're top of the game?
Yeah, so I started drumming when I was 11, and I wouldn't even really talk about the influences I had kind of at that time. But when I was in high school and I was like really getting into it, playing in bands and stuff, my heroes were Mike Portnoy and Chris Adler. So Dream Theater and Lamb of God, and then Opeth, Martin Lopez specifically. And those were hugely influential for me in my drumming. I just love groove drummers for the most part. Now it's funny because, it's so hard for me to decide like who I have my eye on really, because there's so many good drummers out there, and I work for Drumeo, so I see all of these drummers coming through like all the time, like absolutely insane. But some of the obvious ones for me, it's like Estepario. I really like watching.
Machine.
He is an absolute machine. He's an anomaly. He's a freak of nature, but also he emphasizes how much he practices. He's worked really hard to get here.
Yes.
So it isn't just, oh, he was born playing this. But
no, for sure.
Him, I always tell people to check out Craig Reynolds from Straight from the Path, because I really think he's an excellent drummer and also hilarious online. So anyway, there's just so many. Oh man, there's just so many people. I think that Anastasia, I think is her name, or like Ann Drums, who's a content creator, and she's got a band, and I think she's from Russia originally. Really, really good Instagram drummer. But yeah, there's just so many people. I don't even, there's like obvious ones too, like George Colias from Nile, and like other technical wizards where I'm just like, these drummers are next level. But yeah, I could list like 1,000 drummers and they'd all be at the same level for me.
Carey.
What's that?
I said, for me, it's Danny Carey.
Of course. That's...
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he was probably my original, that man is on a different planet level of drumming. Yeah. You just kind of go, what is happening? And he once said, like, I feel like a prisoner of time. It's like, yeah, I can see that. You're constantly trying to just fuck with it in a way that's like, really makes sense. It's kind of, it's phenomenal stuff.
I'm actually going to see them in like 3 days.
How many times have you seen Tool?
At least 10 times.
That's hard to do. They don't gig that often. That's impressive.
I know.
I've seen them
every time they tour,
3 times, and that took years, like decades.
Yeah.
Wow. No, they're immense. But in fairness,
we fly to see them a lot.
Nice.
Just because they don't tour that much.
Yeah, you'd have to. No, again, I'm lucky I live in London, so if a band is big enough and they're touring, they'll hit London, so I just snap on those tickets when I can. But yeah, Sam, if you work for Drumeo, then yes, you're going to get overwhelmed with a bunch of incredible drummers, which was probably quite an intimidating thing. No matter, like, you're going to see the best of the best all the time and just be like, well, I might as well hang up my sticks. That's how Pretty I feel when I'm looking at drummers online myself. Yeah, Craig Reynolds is quite a character, and I think that overshadows just how insanely good his drumming is. Like, you'll listen to a beat and you're like, I think I know what's going on there, and you try it and you go, I can't play that. It's like, he's really thought of things beyond just the groove. He's doing syncopation, but paradiddles across, like, it's just next level. Yeah, he's dope. In terms of the band and where it is, do you have a kind of joint musical bucket list of like festivals you'd love to play or things you're hoping to get to at some point in the future? Or is it very much we love being in the moment, we'll see where things go kind of a thing?
Yeah, I want to play Wacken, Hellfest, Bloodstock, Download. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if it's full of mud and rain. I want to play it.
You just want to cross an ocean, damn it. That's it.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, Download would be great. I'm actually wearing a Download hoodie. That's my yearly pilgrimage. That's where I discover most of the new bands I enjoy. So that's a great shout. What is the most difficult song on this album to have written and put together, Kristen? Is there one that was particularly like a hard puzzle to solve that stands out?
Probably Welcome to Paradise. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty complex song. Obviously I'm a big Tool fan, so we wanted to try mess around with time signatures. So we just kind of picked a time signature at random. And, the original title of the song was actually Fuck Around and Find Out. And so, yeah, we started, we're like, all right, we're going to go with 10-4 and just see what happens. And, yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
That one was kind of a puzzle to put together because it's so different. But it ended up, for me, being, one of my favorites on the record. So it was worth it.
Fair. Yeah, when I first heard that song and it started out, I was like, oh, wait, they're serious. This is something else. This is not like, a familiar song structure thing. It was really entertaining to follow. But by the end of it, I was like, I don't know that I exactly know what just happened during that. But the more you hear it, the more it kind of, the clouds fade away. Like, and it kind of grows into something great. No, nice. It's fine. Great song. Do you have any guilty pleasures music-wise that you enjoy, that you think, like, no one's gonna, like, mine is Ariana Grande, and I don't think it's a guilty pleasure. I think she's got some bangers.
Oh yeah, she's got bangers. I don't know. I listen to a lot of pop. None of it I don't feel guilty about it.
Good answer.
I don't know. I listen to a lot of chill stuff, to be honest. I really don't listen to a lot of rock and metal anymore. I pull inspiration from different genres, really. And I'll hear some cool chord progression over in the EDM world, and I'm like, oh man, that would be sick as a rock song. So, yeah, to be honest, yeah, I guess that's my guilty pleasure. I don't really listen to a lot of rock and metal.
Is that a conscious decision to listen? Did you just find yourself listening to less metal, or is that to not get influenced and do whatever their bands are doing at the same time?
Yeah, okay. It's definitely both, because I don't want us to sound like everybody else, and that's very easy to do when that's all you're listening to. But also, I think just because I've heard so much of it over the years, I'm like, my ears need something else. They need a break. Because on top of this, my husband is also a music producer, and we've had bands coming in and out of the house, and so it's just constant metalcore injection into my ears. So,
fair.
But I think it helps the songwriting process, having those different influences.
That makes sense. Yes, you need a palate cleanser at times. Yeah. I don't think I couldn't listen to metalcore all the time. I think you need some breaks. Here and there. Yeah. Dirty Loops is one of mine. It's a total palate cleanser. I don't know, do you know Dirty Loops at all?
Oh, I love Dirty Loops. Oh my God, they're amazing.
Yeah, Sam, check out Dirty Loops. Their drummer has got the most delicious snare rolls and feel I have ever heard. They're great.
They're mind-blowing.
Oh, that was another drummer I should have mentioned. Totally unrelated. Sleep Token. Two from Sleep Token.
We worship at the hands of two. There's no question about that.
Yes, we do. But that's not a guilty pleasure. That's just a pleasure.
Oh, yeah. I think the world can agree on that. And increasingly, he has been incredibly busy on the drums, But over time, he's choosing what notes not to hit, and I think that's really helped them elevate to where they are now as well. But yeah, he's ridiculous. Very good.
Yeah, my only I don't feel guilty about it, but you know how everybody hates "All I Want for Christmas" Is You by Mariah Carey? I want to defrost her early. Early. We should defrost Mariah now, and we can start listening to that song over and over on repeat for the next 2 months. As I love that song, and everyone hates it, and I think it's hilarious that everyone hates it. I love that song. I think that's her best song. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs.
Yeah, it's a certified banger. But I have no guilt. No.
It is a certified banger.
That's a certified banger. I wonder, maybe it's an American thing to hate on that, because our equivalent of that in the UK is Wham's Last Christmas. There's a game called Whamageddon, where if you hear that song played in a shop or store somewhere, you've lost. So everyone's trying to avoid it because it's absolutely everywhere for Christmas. No, we're a big Christmas household here. My wife would put up the tree tomorrow if she could. I'm trying to.
But you won't let her.
Well, not out of cruelty, but like, let's have Halloween. Let's have maybe a bit of a Thanksgiving, you think. But no, totally on board. I also wanted to chat about briefly, you've got some really strong social media game in your band. If the listeners and watchers had not checked that out, go check out your shorts and your reels. Two of my favorites are, one, it was a joke about when the singer hears that it's load-in time, and then Kia just disappears into a ball pit. I could relate to that so hard. Like the drums, they're so cumbersome. You load them all in, and the singer rocks up like, "Who's got my mic? Where are we?" Is that pure lulz, or is Kia a little bit like, yeah, I'll be there on time?
No, it's lulz. It's definitely lulz. Like, Kia is very helpful, and Kia manages a lot of like the merch as well. And so when it comes to like handling all of that, setup, takedown, and loading all that stuff in, like, yeah, and same with Janelle. Yeah, everyone really pitches in with the gear.
Nice. My other favorite video was Kia walks up to the mic, then turns around, and then just grabs two cheeks, and out pops your face. It's not like we've been meaning to contact you by this thing.
The infamous butt shot.
That's one of our favorites.
It was so brilliant. There's camera trickery in that. Like, it's brilliantly done. But are you spending time on TikTok getting inspiration for things, or is this just coming out of the madness of your own minds?
It's a little of both. Sometimes it'll be inspired by something else we saw, and we'll maybe recreate it in our own way, or it'll be like, oh my God, I've got this stupid idea, we should try this. So it's a little of both. But most of us spend a lot of time like perpetually online. So we see a lot of other
doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Well, there's downtime on tour. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I enjoyed as well. There was one, I think, where Kristen ended kind of with the wine going down. My wife provided me with this because she's like, this will help keep you awake because it's late here. I'm like, isn't this a depressant? But I would be like Kristen going, this is dirt. I need a nice, like there's levels to this. Come on. No, nice. So, I mean, but that side of things, how much of that is a conscious effort to, all right, let's try and put ourselves out there, keep ourselves top of mind, and how much is it just a thing you naturally do as you're on tour and having fun?
I think it's a little bit of both, for sure. Sometimes we'll do something stupid just out and about, and we're like, oh my God, that would make a great TikTok. We should recreate that moment or something. But, and you know, sometimes we do intentionally come up with ideas and record them. But yeah, I think it's both.
Yeah, one of our most popular TikToks is just behind the scenes during our Welcome to Paradise music video shoot, where we're just singing SpongeBob, and it has over 1 million views. Why? I don't know.
You never know what's going to hit.
We did not plan to do that. It's just people being ADD, and just we were bored and we're waiting for the next shot, and then people started singing and dancing, and luckily we have a guy that was filming behind the scenes content, so he was just rolling already. But we had a couple comments who were like, oh, the stupid stuff that people will do for TikTok, and we're like, we did not do this for the views. This is literally just self-entertainment, and then we decided to post it, and you guys liked it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're just like, we do not plan it sometimes, and it just is us being stupid because, like, our whole vibe, like, we just launched a Patreon, for example, and, like, it's basically us posting this really stupid stuff that, like, either we are never going to post publicly, or we're just like, I don't know if like the average person's going to get this, but like someone who already likes our band might think it's funny. But it's just like, as a band, like we just all get really unhinged together. I would say if the general person does not understand that video, we're in real trouble. I think it's very obvious. The blurring of the, like, obviously we know what this is, and it's perfectly fine. It's not this. I thought it was really well done. I don't know if maybe, because we'll wrap up here, because you've been very generous with your time. In terms of the band, and you just started this Patreon, I'll add a link in the description so people can go and check that out. I'm surprised that this is only now happening. I kind of assume these days all bands have some form of Patreon thing. What's been the impetus to start that at this stage? One thing I think a lot of people need to realize before they start like a Patreon or some sort of like community or fan club or whatever you call it, is that you really have to build that community first. You can't use that as a platform to start your fan base. So because, you're basically asking people to pay a couple bucks a month to get access to you and more of your time as a band and more of your content and sneak peeks and things like that. And it's going to be really hard if you try and launch it too early. And I think that was one big reason that this band wanted to wait a little bit longer before we tried something like that. I mean, A, we were super busy with a ton of other things that we needed to work on, but B, we felt like, especially after the Electric Callboy tour, and, we had people asking us about doing things like this, and where else can I hang out with other fans of the band? And we really want to work. We want to do a better job of really building the community and giving back to the community. So that's why we felt like now would be a good time. And we're back from tour. We've got we don't have any shows or anything for the rest of the year. So we thought this is a good time to launch it, try it out, see how it goes. Nice. Very good. That's a very logical, considered point in the career. I like that. Very, very considered. Not unlike your album Slow Burn, which I think was a very well considered and put together collection of songs as a whole, but also each individual song has had some great moments in it. So I highly recommend everyone go and check that out. We're going to wrap some things up here. Before we do, what is next for yourselves? We kind of hinted at it. You're going to spend some time, not, I guess, touring the rest. Is the idea to, well, you're going to work on your Patreon side of things. Are you starting to work on songs for another album? Are you going to do EPs, singles? Do you have any idea? Are you just chilling after the tour and taking some rest?
So we're always working on new music. Actually, I'm going to be co-writing with a couple of people this month towards the third album. Just got to start chipping away at it because it, takes us a while to write songs, clearly. And then, yeah, we want to try and tour more on Slow Burn next year. Hopefully get over to Europe. We'll see what happens. We're working with our UK Europe agent right now to try to land something over there next year. We'll see what happens. We don't know. No promises, but
of course.
And then we'll definitely be touring the US more next year. So yeah, that's kind of the tentative plan.
Well, it sounds good. If there's music in the future, then that sounds good to me. Looking forward to that. Well, thank you again very much for your time for this chat today. I really appreciate it. It's been fascinating to hear some more about the album itself and the band and how it's going. I wish the band and yourselves all the best of luck. I can't wait to see what the next phase of music is, and hopefully see you in Europe at some point as well. So thanks, folks.
Thanks for having us.
Well, what a treat that was to have time with Conquer Divide's Sam and Kristen talking about all of those things we covered in that conversation. Hope you enjoyed that too. Let me know in the comments what you enjoyed in particular. Do check out the links in the description. I've added their Patreon URL in there. And also I have a Discord server that you can join if you want to talk to me directly about the podcast and maybe recommend some bands that you think I should get in touch with for future episodes. Thank you very much for watching or listening, and hopefully I'll see you in the next episode.